The change in Jelly Roll is really crazy. Take a look. In January 2024, Jelly Roll promised 20,000 fans that he would keep his word. He said in a year he'd be half as big as he was, 563 pounds. A lot of people laughed. They didn't know that he had already bought a mobile cryocell for $500K, hired 3 trainers and met with 4 nutritionists. He had lost 150 pounds by the end of 6 months. However, the real change began a lot earlier. Someone who sold drugs overdosed twice, went to jail for years, and then became the biggest star in country music. Jared Bradley DeFord was Jelly Roll's birth name. He was born in Antioch, Tennessee on December 4, 1984. Antioch is just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. It was not a nice spot. There was a lot of crime, drugs, and poor people. Things weren't much better at home. Donna, his mom, had major mental health issues and was hooked on drugs. Bud, his dad, had a meat shop and also worked as a bookie for illegal gaming. That meant he wasn't there very often. The youngest of 4 kids, Jelly Roll, was left in the middle of the mess. His mother called him Jelly Roll because he was fat. No one thought that name would become well known. He liked music even when he was a child. He wrote his first rap when he was 9 years old, but the streets of Antioch were calling him more. Before he turned 12, he had seen drive-by killings and lost a cousin to gang strife. He didn't go to school very often. He said that as a child he didn't know anyone who had a normal job. He saw a lot of people who lived off of crime or begging. By age 14 he knew the names of many drugs and how much they cost, but he couldn't do simple math. He was arrested for the first time that same year when he was 14. He was caught taking pot and cigarettes. Something was beginning to happen. Jail became a second home for the next 10 years. During those years in jail, though, something strange happened. Back in September 2000, Jelly Roll was locked up in cell block D at the Davidson County Juvenile Detention Center. He took out a pencil that he wasn't supposed to have. He wrote his first full rap song on the back of a grocery form. He was only 15 years old. He could flee with music. Didn't rap about cars or parties. He rapped about being in pain, Antioch, and the truth of his life. He looked up to singers who were honest, like 3 6 Mafia and UGK. Over 100 songs were written while he was in prison by the time he was 17. Then something changed in 2002. He sang a song he wrote called Streets Don't Love Nobody at a talent show at West Hills Youth Center. A music teacher who was at the center heard him and thought he was very talented. They helped him make his first tape of music. He borrowed as much gear as he could and set up 5 tracks. Not very well put together, but strong. He came out of the dark for the first time with that demo. Jelly Roll put out his first mixtape in 2005. It was called Halfway House, and he recorded all 18 songs in Antioch in his mom's basement. The songs were about how bad things were in his life and how he wished things were better. People were interested in the song Hate Goes On. It began to be played in bars and on the radio. In just a few months it was played a huge number of times on 101.1, The Beat. Jelly Roll didn't have a lot of money. He only had $500 left. He made 1,000 CDs with it. He sold them from the trunk of his car, at gas stops, barber shops, and anywhere else he could. A neighborhood rapper named Haystack was in another song called Think I Give a Fuck. A lot of people watched the music video for it on YouTube. Some people began to pay attention. His life was crazy behind the music though. From the beginning, drugs were a part of it. By the time he was 12, he was already cannabis and drinking. When he was 13, he tried drugs. By the time he was 15, he had to sell drugs to stay alive and help his mom. Tobacco and pills came after weed. People in the streets knew his name. Over time, his drug use got worse. He was 18 years old and took a dangerous mix of drugs every day: codeine, cocaine, and Xanax. Things almost came to an end in 2006. He died after mixing booze, cocaine, and MDMA. For 2 whole minutes his heart stopped. He was saved by paramedics. He was still alive, but that didn't stop him. He used again. After going back to jail in 2008, things finally started to change. He joined a group called 12 Step. He began writing music not just to get famous but also to stay living. Music became a way to heal. The big break then came. Hip-hop artist Lil White from Memphis found Jelly Roll's 10-minute jam on YouTube in 2009. He reached out. Pop Another Pill is the name of the song they made together. It came out on April 20, 2009. It did go off, but no one thought it would. A huge number of people watched it live. All of a sudden, Jelly Roll wasn't just a neighborhood band. and rap group called SNO was made up of them Lil White and BPZ. SNO stands for Stoners Night Out. Their record Year Round came out in 2011. It was produced by DJ Paul and Juicy J from 3 6 Mafia. The record even made it to the top of the Billboard charts. Jelly Roll didn't slow down though. He put out 27 different projects, mixtapes, EPs, and albums between 2005 and 2015. He worked all the time. He was always on tour. He put everything on YouTube. Fans liked how honest he was. He even started getting together with other people at Waffle House. A lot of people would drive for hours just to meet him. It became big deal to have these meet and greets. They were more than just events. Fans will never forget those times. Jelly Roll wanted to do more than just make songs. He wished for people to feel seen. He told other people about his problems so they wouldn't feel alone. He once said, "Music saved my life. Now I'm trying to save other people with it." Jelly Roll was getting ready to put out a new record in 2013. He was going to name it Whiskey, Weed and Waffle House, which was a fun reference to his favorite Southern restaurant. But on July 15th, just a few weeks before the movie came out, everything changed. Waffle House warned him that they would sue him if he used their name and image. It might have made the whole project fail. Jelly Roll turned it into a moment instead. He changed the album's name to Whiskey, Weed and Women and put a big stop stamp on the cover. It was brave, funny and smart. Some people noticed. It came out on August 6th and had 22 songs that mixed hip-hop, rock and country. Some of the best songs were Creature and Sunday Morning. They were honest, hurt and full of grit. It debuted at number 50 on the Billboard R&B hip-hop chart and only sold 1,800 copies in its first week. For a solo artist, that was a big deal. Even though it might not seem like much. Fans liked how real it seemed. The main track didn't make the charts, but more than 15 million people had listened to it by 2024. It became a hit in the underground. Still, Jelly Roll's mix of styles made things hard to understand. He kept putting out songs from 2013 to 2020, but no one was sure where he fit in. He played more country and outlaw rock one year, like when he played with Waylon and Willie in 2016 and Struggle Jennings. The next year he went back to slick hip-hop with A Beautiful Disaster. The music business didn't know what to do with him because he didn't fit into any one box. They didn't know what songs to play with him on the radio. Streaming services couldn't put a name on his sound. They didn't want to take the chance. He felt like he wasn't seen. He told Billboard in 2019 that he didn't feel like he belonged anywhere. He said, "I'm too country for hip-hop and too hip-hop for country. It's like not having a place to play music." That turn down hurt a lot. It was almost his decision to quit music for good in 2018. After that, something changed. Brent Gilbert he met. The country star did more than just listen. He showed him the way. Gilbert told him to focus on what made him unique. Do not change the sound but respect the roots of the country. That set Jelly Roll on fire. Songs of the Broken, which came out in 2021, was his big break into country music. He had finally found a place where his voice was heard. He fought more than just music though. Behind the scenes, Jelly Roll was having a hard time with drugs. A podcast he did in 2024 let him talk about the worst parts of that battle. In 2012, he spent more than $1,000 every day on drugs. After that, on July 15, 2013, there was an overdose. He was almost killed by heroin and fentanyl. Narcan had to be given 3 times to bring him back to life. He tried to stay clean after that. He stayed sober for 18 months, but he returned in 2015. He didn't give up. For 90 days in 2016, he went to a rehab center, and even though he went to outpatient care in 2018, the cravings never really went away. Then in April 2023, when he was at the height of his fame, the stress finally got to him. He gave up again. He used drugs for 37 days in a row. He said it was the worst time of his life, but on May 17, 2023, he chose to fight back. He hasn't had any drinks or drugs since then. He hasn't used drugs in 20 months as of January 2025. He has stayed grounded with the help of therapy, 12-step groups and his wife XO. There is a recovery chip on his person at all times. He got a tattoo on his wrist with the date he lost his drink to make sure he never forgets. Jelly Roll's life changed in a way he never saw coming in 2020. He put out a song called Save Me on June 26th. He was in a bad place at the time. His dad had just died. From COVID-19, the world was cut off. He was stuck and felt alone. People wiped down their groceries and stayed inside. As he sat in his pain, Jelly Roll tried to figure out what was going on. He put everything he had into that song. There were no effects or filters used, just honest feeling. It was felt by many, every word was telling the truth. The acoustic version went viral on YouTube in a quiet way. It had more than 200 million views by 2025. Messages began to come in. People who said "Save Me" got them were addicted, depressed, or had lost someone they loved. The song turned into more than just music. It saved their lives. The song also had a unique sound. It had a country sound, but Jelly Roll's hip-hop roots were still there. Some rock and some soul. There wasn't a clear type that it fit into. And that's what made it unique. Reached music fans who like all sorts of music. It was on lists for country, rock, and hip-hop all at the same time. That doesn't happen very often. The music world started to pay attention because of all that attention. This was a big deal for record companies. Also, Jelly Roll made a big deal on September 9, 2021. He joined the BBR music group Stony Creek Records. He was 36 years old, had tattoos, and was pretty rough. A man who had been to jail and started from the bottom in his job. The label didn't care that he wasn't what country music is usually like. They saw his heart, his skill. They had faith in him. It was a huge deal. It cost $3 million to make 3 CDs over 5 years. It was one of the best deals a new country artist has ever gotten. It was the moment when everything changed for Jelly Roll. Someone finally gave him their full support after years of working hard by himself. On September 17, 2021, just 8 days after that, his first record with the label Ballads of the Broken came out. It was honest and close to home. Each song sounded like a part of his life. He sang about mental health, drug abuse, and trying to get clean. Like his story, the music was a mix of country, hip-hop, and rock. There were 2 songs that stood out. Death Cab for Cutie made it to the top of the rock lists. Fans were moved by how brutally honest Son of a Sinner was. The album made it to number 10 on Billboard's country list. Over 100 million people streamed it in the first month alone. Not only were people hearing, they were also talking to each other. That wasn't all Jelly Roll did. He told stories about what went on behind the scenes on social media. He talked to people who liked him. He let it out. People felt like they knew him and were on his journey with him. The record also got good reviews. They said it was one of the best new country songs in years. Not just because of the music, but also because it was different. There was a big event for Jelly Roll in 2023. Son of a Sinner, his song finally made it to number 1 on country radio. It took time to happen. It took almost a year, but it made it to the top of the charts, which meant a lot. The song was more than just sounds. It was his story. To do better, fight, and feel pain were all part of it. It was true. It was felt. That's also why it got to number 31 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sold more than 1 million copies, making it platinum. This moment was important to Jelly Roll. He was told he didn't fit his whole life. He had tattoos and had been in trouble with the law before. It's not really what country radio plays, but he didn't care about what people thought. He still made songs. As he spoke to the crowd, the song finally reached number 1. He asked them to think what it would be like for a guy from this town, someone who messed up everything they did for the first 25 years of their life. Not only was he happy about a great song, his point was that your past doesn't have to decide what will happen in the future. It's been a wild ride for Jelly Roll in the world of country music. The link he made with Brantley Gilbert was one of the most important ones. They worked together for the first time on a song called Of the Dirty South in June 2022. It mixed the rough rap style of Jelly Roll with the heavy country rock of Brantley. It was loud, rough, and different. People loved it even though they didn't know what to expect. That one song was the start of something bigger. Not only did Jelly Roll and Brantley make music together, they became real friends. Jelly Roll joked that besides his wife Bunny So, Brantley is the person he talks to the most on the phone. They kept writing songs together and then chose to go on tour. They began the Son of the Dirty South Summer Tour, which was only 5 shows long and ran from Jacksonville, Florida to Brandon, Mississippi. Fans could feel the excitement between them at every stop. They were doing more than just acting. They were having a good time and getting excited from each other. They didn't stop there though. There was another song with Struggle Jennings that they did together in 2023. It was called Behind Bars. It was on the Whitsett Chapel record by Jelly Roll. That song had a bit of everything on it. It has country, rock, and hip-hop in it. Like them, it was brave and honest. What fans didn't know was that Jelly Roll and Brantley were working on a shared EP, which was something even bigger. Since 2023, they had been writing songs together in silence. Bradley said that they had enough songs ready to go by 2024. It could change things in country music if they put it out there. Since it's no longer just country, there are different sounds, stories, and styles in it. It's what Jelly Roll is all about. He broke the rules, told the truth, and did things his way. In 2023, Jelly Roll had a great year. Something amazing took place on November 8th. At the CMA Awards, he won New Artist of the Year. He was 39 years old, which made him one of the oldest winners of that award ever. He told everyone on stage, "Success is on the other side of it. Don't stop, kid." It was clear how much it meant to him. It looked like the right time, but then he dropped the award backstage. It broke apart. He could have been mad, but he laughed. After that, he made a joke on TV about how the broken prize was like his life, messy but real. His album Whitsitt Chapel came out on June 2nd that same year. But it wasn't just any record, it was special to them. The name came from a church he went to as a child. Each song told a part of his life. He wrote all 13 of the songs. Well-known people also took part. They are Yellow Wolf, Lainey Wilson, and Brantley Gilbert. It broke records as well as hearts with the music. It went straight to number 2 on the top country albums list and number 3 on the Billboard 200. That is a huge number for a first country record. A lot of the songs were about having hope and getting another chance. One reason was that Bailey was his daughter. He was moved deeply by her decision to be baptized. It gave rise to songs like Dancing with the Devil and Halfway to Hell. Fans loved how honest and emotional the record felt, but Jelly Roll wasn't done yet. His Backroad Baptism tour in 2023 was really cool. He played in 44 places and each one felt like a big party. The mix of songs on the tour was what made it stand out. He wasn't just country, he got Chase Rice, El King, and even 3 6 Mafia to join. Over 18,000 people came to see him play at Nashville's Bridgestone Arena. It was sold out everywhere. After fans had a chance to catch their breath, Jelly Roll told them about even bigger plans. He was going to Canada in 2024. The big surprise was when he said he and Post Malone would be going on a stadium tour in 2025. On the same stage, a country singer and a pop rap star. It doesn't happen often. It showed something important. Jelly Roll doesn't just mix types of music. He is breaking them. On August 17, 2022, Jelly Roll hit rock bottom. He stepped on a scale and saw that it read 563. He weighed 563 pounds. Every day he ate more than 10,000 calories. It wasn't just eating too much, it helped me deal. He liked to be alone, eat whole pizzas and watch TV for hours on end. He talked about it in an interview on January 5, 2025. He said he put snacks on his tour bus so he could eat alone at night while everyone else was sleeping. On March 3, 2023 though, things got really scary. He ate 37 chicken wings, 2 big pizzas, and a gallon of soda that day. Later his chest hurt so much that he had to go to the hospital. He was scared at that time. He knew it was time for a change. She was an expert in helping people who are addicted to food. He also saw a chef, but his problem with food wasn't new. He ate a wedding cake made for 200 people back in October 2021. He ate it in 2 days. He said that the guilt made him feel very sick afterward. Then it was January 15, 2024. He went up on stage at Nashville's Bridgestone Arena. There were 20,000 people. He stopped singing in the middle of the show to look at the people watching. He said, "I'm sick of being the fat guy in country music. I promise myself and all of you tonight that by this time next year I'll be half the man I am now." People in the crowd cheered, but they didn't understand how serious he was. He went all in the next morning. He hired 3 trainers instead of just one. One for aerobics, one for strength, and one for rest. He hired 4 chefs. He added someone who knows a lot about sleep and even hypnotherapy. His house was turned into a gym. He made a basketball court, an Olympic-sized pool, and a huge shower big enough for his whole band. In a way that felt personal, he even changed what he ate. The Nashville hot chicken diet was what he called it. His cooks made it with lean turkey breast and strong spices instead of greasy fried chicken. It was 75% less fat and calories. He ate that 5 times a day, along with veggies that were low in carbs and protein shakes that tasted like sweet tea. His workouts were tough. The day always began at 4:30 in the morning. He took a 5-mile walk around his land. At times friends who were waiting outside would join him. He was swimming laps in the pool when he was 70. Then there were an hour and a half of basketball practice. In the afternoons, I did cardio and weights. Yoga and meditation were done at night. He didn't stop even when he went on tour. He walked as many miles on the bus as there are between cities, which is how many miles it is between cities. He went even further by using treatment with very high or very low temperatures. It cost him $500,000 to buy a cryo room. He stood in it for 3 minutes 3 times a day at 230 degrees. He sat in a sauna that was 220 degrees for 20 minutes after that. He thought it helped him burn an extra 3,000 calories every day. Some doctors told him it might be dangerous, but he kept going. He didn't try to hide any of it. He put everything on the web. It had everything: weigh-ins, progress pictures, blood tests, and more. He put up a video of himself wearing high school jeans on March 3, 2024. He broke down and cried. That video went crazy. In one day, more than 50 million people watched it. It became known as the Jelly Roll Challenge. Fans from all over the world posted their own goals and stories. In June 2024, only 6 months into his trip, Jelly Roll had lost 150 pounds. People were shocked not only by the number but also by how quickly and deeply things changed. He couldn't go on tour because his body had changed so much. He had to get new dress clothes. He had to take new pictures. The change wasn't just on the outside though. It was also inside. More than 500,000 people joined his Facebook support group to learn how to do what he did. He finally got why he had been having so much trouble with food for so long. It wasn't just bad habits or strong will. The same parts of his brain that made him want drugs were now set off by eating too much. Diets don't work because they don't address the real problem. Everything changed when he saw that. He stopped seeing his eating disorder and his drug abuse as two different issues. He worked with experts instead, who helped him see the big picture. He found his footing in therapy. He had been to therapy 5 times a week since September 2022. That's over 500 hours of going through old hurt and facing harsh facts. When I was in therapy in March 2023, a memory of being abused that I had pushed away came back to me. Even though it hurt, it helped him figure out where some of his cuts came from. He also joined Overeaters Anonymous around the same time. He always showed up to meetings 3 times a week, even when it wasn't easy. Then July 2023 came along. He got away to the Mojave Desert for 72 hours. There was no food for the first 2 days, just deep mental work. It became clear to him that some situations were bad for him, which helped him make some tough choices. He kept looking for new ways to do things. He tried horseback riding. The man used hypnosis. He even went to meetings where psychedelics were used while adults were present. He was able to forgive his father after one lesson. He hadn't talked to that person in 15 years. That meeting led to a reunion, which he later talked about in an interview, his voice shaking with emotion. Early in 2024, Jelly Roll chose to be calm before things got crazy. He added a place to meditate to his tour bus. He would sit and breathe for 30 minutes before every show. It wasn't just a trend in health. He had a panic attack on stage in February 2024. He had to leave in the middle of the show. After that, I could not avoid meditating. He also used music in a different way, not to make hits but to show how he felt. He wrote every day. He had more than 300 pieces by the end. They may not all be freed, but each one helped him get better. The weight loss wasn't the only change in her body. His first day of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training was in September 2023. It wasn't just workout. It was power. It taught them how to focus and hold back. He got a blue belt by the end of 2024. Not to show off but to remind himself of how far he'd come. He even did some of the moves on stage. He also tried treatment with very high or very low temperatures. He switched between a cold cryotherapy and a hot sauna 3 times a week. He slept better and felt more stable afterward. Because he was so sure of it, he spent $500,000 on a mobile freezing sauna that he could take on tour. Jelly Roll was honest about his mental health the whole time. It was in April 2024 that he talked about having borderline personality disorder in a big interview. He said it had made his relationships worse. It was bad for his job. In a quiet time, he also said that he had thought about committing suicide earlier that year. He talked more in August 2024 on a podcast. He talked about the painful feelings that therapy had brought up and how facing them had helped him. After the show, his friends sent him a lot of messages, not just nice things to say but also stories, problems and pleas for help. That part of his trip might have been the most powerful. He changed more than that. Others got the guts to start making changes.